Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. You will be doing equations by simplifying and you will be able to work on 11.14. Today students will be able to solve equations by simplifying each side first with combining like terms. And I want you guys to do a warm-up first. So if you want, you can try this one, pause the video, and then I'll come back to it because I'm going to start giving the answer right now. So pause it. Okay, so hopefully you already tried it. And so simplifying expressions sometimes includes distributive property, which we'll be doing more of next lesson, but today we're doing only combining like terms. Combining like terms, you learned before that it's terms with the same variable raised to the same power. Okay, and so in here we see that we have 2x and we have negative 5x. So those two are like terms. The other one that we have is, in here we don't have a variable, meaning this is a constant number, and this one doesn't have a variable, so those are like terms as well because they have no variable. And so when we combine 2x and negative 5x, it's like adding the, we'll be putting together the coefficients and just keeping the x. So if I have 2 and negative 5, that's negative 3x, right? Because I have 2 boxes and I owe 5 boxes, let's say. So that's negative 3x. The other one is negative 5 and positive 8. So that means I owe 5, but I pay 8. Then I end up with positive 3. Remember, different signs, we subtract and leave the sign of the greater one. Different signs, we subtract 8 minus 5 and keep the sign of the greater one. And this is the answer. We cannot put together x's with just numbers. Okay, so that's it. The other one, again, we have, so negative 8x, you need to include the sign, and negative x. And we also have the constant 7, and the constant 4. Okay, so from these two, I owe 8 and I owe 1 more. If there is nothing in here, there's a 1. So that means that I owe 9x. And then positive 7 and positive 4 is positive 11. Same sign, we add and keep the sign of the greater one. Okay, so that's it. That's how you simplify. And this is what we're going to be needing for our lesson for today. Okay, so let's start with some examples. And so this is number 1. So the first thing you need to do is to divide, because you cannot combine terms that are here from here. Okay, and today you're not going to encounter where you have on both sides. That comes later. But just remember, you can combine like terms only if they are on the same side of the equal sign. Okay? And so in here, I notice that I have 2x, and this is positive x, so that gives me 3x equal. On the other side of the equal sign, I have a constant 9 and the constant positive 3. So 9 plus 3, both are positive, so it's going to be 12. And so in here it's combine like terms. That's what we did. That's the step. The next step is to cancel by dividing. Cancel by dividing, because this is multiplication, and the opposite of multiplication is to divide. Remember that if you do one side, we have to do the other to maintain the balance. Okay, so 3x divided by 3 is x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's it. Okay, take a minute to pause the video if you want, and then if you need to take notes. Okay, again, we're going to divide the equation by the equal sign. And so I notice that I have 5x, I have negative 2x, and I have x. So in here I just bring down the 8. In here 5x minus 2x, I have 3x. In here is 3x. And then 3x plus x is equals to 4x. So that's called combined like terms. Okay. I know that some people prefer to also do this. They put together the ones that are positive. So 5x and 1x. Remember that if there's nothing in here, that means a 1. So 5x and 1x is 6x. Right? 6x. And then minus 2x, that still gives me 4x. Okay, so either way, if you want to do one by one in the way they come, or you can combine first the positives with positives, negatives with negatives, and then you subtract. Finally, if we're multiplying, the opposite is to divide. Remember that we're canceling where the variables are. So this step will cancel by dividing. And so I divide in here. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 4 divided by 4 cancels. And you only get x. So x is equals to 2. Okay, that's the answer. X equals 2. Okay, let's do one more. Again, we divide where the equal sign just to keep it organized. And so we have 18p in here, negative 4p in here, and we have 12 and positive 16. So positive 12 and positive 16. And so 18p minus 4p, that's equals to 14p. 12 plus 16, well, 6 plus 2 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2, so it's 28. If we're multiplying, the opposite is to divide. Remember that in division and multiplication, we keep the same sign, okay? That way, positive divided by positive is positive p equals 28 divided by 14, that's equals to 2. So what did we do? Combined like terms. Okay, putting together the terms that have the same variable raised to the same power. And the next step was to divide by dividing. Okay, the opposite, because it's multiplication, the opposite is division. Okay, let's do in here, again, we make that division where the equal sign is. So we're just going to be bringing that. And I noticed that all of them are negatives. So let me try doing what some people do. Putting together first the negatives, meaning this one and this one. So I'm going to put the negative 9w here. And we get 9. Remember, same sign. We add and keep the sign of the greater. So negative 9, 10, 11, 12, negative 12w, and this is positive, so now we have the 3w and negative 12w, right, that came from here, equals 3. So that's what some people do, putting together the ones with the same sign first, and then once that happens, you have one positive, one negative, you subtract and leave the sign of the greater one. So because it's positive and negative, different signs we subtract. 12 minus 3 is 9w. And keep the sign of the greater. The greater is negative, so it's going to be negative. And so, if this is multiplication, the opposite is to divide. Oh, and I'm running out of space. This cancels. And so I get W equals, I want you to notice something, and you already saw in Module D, when the number in the top is smaller, we cannot divide 9 by 3. In the contrary, what we're going to do is simplify the equation. So first of all, positive divided by negative is negative. And both of these are divisible by 3, right? This can be divided by 3. This can be divided by 3. And so the answer is 3 divided by 3 is 1 over 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so W equals negative 1/3. Okay, so this is a fraction. I'm not sure that your homework has that, but it's good review from the fractions. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, so again, we're going to divide this. And if we put this together, you can actually do it in your mind already. Okay, with practice, you get better and better and say, oh, this also has a C. So 5C plus 14C, that's 19C. Minus 11C, well, 19 minus 11 is 8C. Okay, now in here, I owe 20 and I owe 12. That means that I owe, same sign, we add and keep the sign of the greater. Okay, so add 20 plus 12 is 32. Okay, debo 20 y debo 12, debo 32. Finally, if we're multiplying, the opposite is to divide. And so C is equals to positive divided, negative divided by positive, negative. 32 divided by 8, 4. So that's going to be my answer. Again, what we did was to combine like terms. Combine like terms. And I know I didn't do it for the previous one. What I want you to do is just say what you're doing without even having to write it, unless they ask you to justify each step. This means justify each step. Justifica cada paso. So vas a estar explicando cada paso. So combine like terms, ¿verdad? Es poner los que son similares, términos similares. Cancel by dividing. Okay, so it's only if they ask you to justify each step. Lo siento, justify each step. Okay, vamos a hacer una más. Says that I have, okay, a constant here, -2, and a -8. And on the other side, I have -5y, +3y, and this is where you have your division. So the -2 and -8, -10. Remember, same signs, we add and keep the sign of the greater one. Different sign, we subtract, so 5 minus 3 is 2y, and keep the greater sign, which is, the bigger one is -5, so it's negative. Finally, if we're multiplying, the opposite is to divide. Remember that in division, keep the same sign. And so -2 divided by -2 is +1y, but we don't put the 1 in here. And -10 divided by -2 is +5. Okay, so this is the answer. Some teachers prefer for you to write y equals 5, the y first. Okay, and so now with that, you can do 11.14 and have fun.